Hang on. I made a mess. Go ahead. I know this is why we can't have nice things. I don't even know what the date is. Does anybody else know what the date is? Where did all my stuff go? All right. We are at the August 24th, 2023 Village of Minerva Park Council meeting, and today is, or not today is, oh my goodness gracious, it is 7:03. That's what it is. And we will start with roll call. There we go. Councilperson Koss.
Present.
Councilperson McNamara.
Present.
Councilperson Camera.
Here.
Councilperson Wolf.
Here.
Council President Bruger.
Here.
And Councilperson Martin.
Here.
And next we have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next we have August 10th council meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, let's go straight to citizen comments.
Oh, well, they're already. Hold on, two shakes here, Tony, let me, oh, it's already set, because I only ever use this for the 5-minute citizens comments, so it's already set there.
Tony Bennett, 2937 Berry Lane Court. Today I want to talk about the code rewrite, and, you know, as Brian pointed out last meeting, is that Planning and Zoning Commission voted to pass it on to council. Well, I will say that there was JP, one of them, and Beth McNamara were talking at the Planning and Zoning meeting that they felt there was more work to be done. And they were convinced that council was going to do more work on it. So I'm trying to understand how much work you guys have spent on this and what your understanding of what Eric's proposing to do with this new district, zoning district. I passed out to everybody the R4 zoning district rules. And you'll see that they list the permitted uses, which are dwellings and home occupations. It goes on to list conditional uses as how you handle that. Then it goes on to list or to spell out the development standards. And this is where the size of the house and the side yard requirement and rear yard requirements are all spelled out. So on the last page of the handout, you'll see Eric's proposed legacy plan district. Now, he doesn't list one single permitted use. So I'm wondering why he's eliminating permitted uses from being described in the district rules and regulations. If you go down to development standards, there are no development standards in the new development or the new zoning district. Now, and the only thing, and this is, my question, and I hope you guys will get an answer to this, is what problem is this fixing? Why are we doing this in the first place? And why do we have, and then, well, let's go to the development standards in the new district's text. It says, following the date of the inception of the MPL planned district, all lots contained within, along with their structures and corresponding setbacks, coverages, heights, etc., shall be considered to be legal and conforming. Now, guys, I don't see this language in any other zoning district in our code, and I think in any code that I've ever seen. And the question is, why do we have to make all the non-conforming uses in this new district legal and conforming? It's something that I would love to hear Eric's explanation, because we have codes that cover conforming and non-conforming situation when someone wants to add on to a non-conforming use. In my opinion, this is all about the litigation that the village is facing over the driveway, the fence that went down the middle of a shared driveway. Because when this gets passed, all non-conforming uses will be legal and considered to be conforming. Now, this is a question that I'd like to get an answer from Jesse, and to hear you guys understand why we're doing this. Because so far, this is what Eric thinks we should do. Again, why are there no development standards which describe where you can build a house? And it's very ironic that today on Facebook, there's people complaining about the house that you guys granted variances to, and whether it really meets all of the codes is, I got to look into this, because I don't think that it's 30 feet back from the road, because the only variances that you gave for this house are for the side yards. You'd allow the side yards to be smaller than the code recommends. But I also think that there's a code that says the house can only, or the structure can only cover 30% of the lot. I think this house, haven't gone out the tape measure, but I bet it's over 30%. And there's another code about the setback. I think it's closer than 30 feet from the middle of the road. So guys, code enforcement, a train wreck here.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well timed out.
Do we have any more citizen comments?
I couldn't do it without that timer, Mark. Thank you.
I'll do what I can.
All right, then we will move on to legislation.
Okay. Going through here. Our first one, ordinance 12/2023. An ordinance to make supplemental appropriations for the current expenses of the Village of Minerva Park for the year 2023. This is our third reading of this one. This is the increase in the funds, since we now have 2 sergeants to cover the salary of the new sergeant, I believe, Mayor?
Nope.
Nope.
Well, maybe part of it. This is actually for the radar signs and
Oh.
the other sign that is in. What? It's not a sign. What is that other? What's the box called?
The Fox.
There you go. So that was the increase for that as well. And
Okay.
the 5,000 might be that I don't remember, but I know the 10,000. That's what that's for.
Okay. And these signs, again, just real quick, as long as we're about to pass it, want to give a 30-second pass on that, Chief Delt? What these signs intend to do?
So the speed sign is just a speed limit sign that has your speed is underneath and has the radar attached to it so that it shows you how fast you're going. We got a solar powered one, I believe, so that we could move it from place to place around the village as needed.
Awesome.
The second thing is for traffic study. When we get the speed complaints and we're trying to figure out where best use our resources.
Awesome. Taking a chance and trying to get some speeding down. Thank you very much for that.
Traffic studies with our little things, so we can be more.
But I'm pretty sure I have access to Facebook, so we don't need a traffic study. I have all the data I need. Moving on with that snarky comment, we will go, I will move that we approve this.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any
Who seconded? Jason?
Debate.
Apparently there's a debate about seconding.
All right. Any discussion?
All right, I think we are on to roll call.
Councilperson McNamara.
Aye.
Council President Brugger.
Aye.
Councilperson Koss.
Aye.
Councilperson Camera.
Aye.
Councilperson Martin. And Councilperson Wolf.
Aye.
All right, moved and passed. All right, first reading, an ordinance 14/2023, an ordinance to establish the Canine Fund. For those of you listening at home, I'm sure you probably know Officer Kimber is our police dog. She is a sniffer, not a biter. That's the 2 categories of police dogs are. This fund is not actually us putting any money to it, but rather us establishing a fund for if we get donations and other monies contributed to her. Currently, as with, I believe, most police departments, the officer assigned to Kimber covers all of Kimber's costs personally. When we first brought her onto the force, the idea was most of that would be paid for, the upgrades to the vehicle, the food and everything were going to come from donations that had been secured. This gives us a fund so we can put money in. It's a first reading. Anyone with anything? Moving on. All right, ordinance 15, 2023, an ordinance to establish first responders retention fund. Sorry, retention incentive fund. Get out the thing in all. We are going to come into some money in a legislation a little bit later on, about 30 seconds from now. That is grant money to be used to help retain first responders, police officers in the case of Minerva Park, since we no longer have EMS. We need to set up a place for that money to go. And that's just a first reading, right?
Yep.
And now for the ordinance 16, 2023, an ordinance to make supplemental appropriations for the current expense of the Village of Minerva Park for the year 2023. This is a $28,000 input into our funds, which are the grant funds that I just mentioned, going to the First Responder Retention Incentive Fund Program. And that has been read. All right, on to the fun, interesting one. Ordinance 17, 2023, an ordinance amending the Weaver Commercial Contractors, Inc. contract for remodeling and construction of the Minerva Park Municipal Building and declaring an emergency. This is going to increase the available funds of to redo the community building from $3,205,800 to $3,450,000. I will let either the mayor or
Eric.
Thank you,
Either.
Eric.
Do you want
I
to?
just had.
Yeah.
I'm going to blame Tony on that. He mentioned legal counsel, and I just had Jesse running through my head like it's
It's
not
okay.
Jesse. It's not
No.
Jesse. It's the other one.
No problem. So, as we discussed at the earlier legislative committee session, there is we had made an error at some point in the past over several renditions and not including a standard contingency on the original authorizing legislation for the Weaver bid. We have come to you in order to rectify that issue. And so the request per the finance director on it increases the amount to the number of $3,450,000 from $3,205,800. And that will cover all change orders, including change order number 13, which has also been presented to you this evening, should you approve it. Furthermore, council can, of course, as we discussed in the legislative committee session, choose to work with the retaining wall that's proposed under change order 13, or we would go with the older grading and take down the trees in all likelihood. Take any questions.
Any questions?
Do we have to vote on the 28th?
No, it's just
No,
part
we
of
could
it.
just- it's just part of it. And just to say what he was mentioning there, one of the increases on this is $28,000 to put a further continuance on the west side parking lot. Originally, the idea, there was a new parking lot being put in there, and then it was going to grade out to just be at level with everything else. It was brought to our attention, in order to grade it out, we would have to remove 3 very large old trees. And our other alternative is to just keep it as a drop off, but then you have to put a retaining wall in. That's the wall he was mentioning. This was discussed earlier in legislative committee, and the general feel of the council was we rather pay the $28,000 than remove 3 50-foot oaks from the community property grounds. All right, and since we need this money so they can actually finish the work, because they're not going to finish the work without getting paid, I move that we suspend the second and third readings of this ordinance.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Do we
Any,
move and declare it an emergency, or just?
this is just to waive the first two, read the second and third reading.
It's in the agenda as an emergency, so we don't have to make any changes.
Before we do that,
And
I
we'll do that
also,
after we waive
do you
them.
want
I'll
to?
do that when we go through the final
Okay,
passage.
perfect.
Just because I forgot to do it already.
You're fine. Councilperson Wolf.
Aye.
Councilperson Martin. Councilperson Camera.
Aye.
Councilperson McNamara.
Aye.
Council President Bruger.
Aye.
And Councilperson Koss.
Aye.
All right, having waived the second and third readings, in just a moment, I'm gonna move passage as an emergency, but I will point out to Barb, who's always taking notes, on section 1, shall not the ordinance in 24-2023, that should be 24-2022 was when that ordinance was passed. So there's just a typo in there. I think you can just correct that and we can pass it with that typo
And it's-
being addressed.
And it's also in the whereas.
Oh, and it's also in the whereas. Thank
Yep.
you very much, Mayor Southard. Okay, having pointed out those little typo changes, I move passage as an emergency. Moved and seconded. Any debate? All right, I think we're ready for a roll call, Madam Mayor.
And then August 24th, 2023 on the signature panel.
Oh, yeah, because it says first reading 22, second reading.
So it's just the years are flip-flopped.
Oh, my goodness.
Flip-flopped.
Flip-flopped, it's
Flip-flopped.
terrible.
It
Our
is.
2s and 3s are
I
running
can do
amok.
better than that. We've all looked at it 30 times. So that tells you that. No, not on this one. We've all looked at it except for her. Okay, so all those, Council President Bruger,
Aye.
Councilperson Camera,
Aye.
Councilperson Martin, and Councilperson Wolf.
Aye.
Councilperson Koss,
Aye.
Councilperson McNamara.
Aye.
And who seconded that? Jason. All right,
Excuse me.
I think we're done.
We are not, well, we're done with legislation.
That's it, okay. All right, let's go to old business. Does anybody have any old business they would like to talk about?
Can I just address something?
Yes?
I would just like to address that last meeting, we talked about an email chain where we talked about increasing the mayor's salary, and I just want to go on record to say that I did support increasing the mayor's salary. Just want to put that on the record.
Okay,
Did we have a meeting about that?
We did not, but enough people hit reply all to emails that starts to count as a meeting. And so just to keep everything sunshiny, I brought up at the meeting that was discussed and no action was taken. Because once you hit reply all to more than 3 council people and start saying, I think we should do this, well, what about this? That's a meeting.
But I think we should still address it and plan for the future, and I'm
Yeah.
still in favor of doing that, and I think that is incredibly important.
I
to show
replied,
our
I wanted to
support
talk
for how
about
much
it.
our mayor does
Mhm.
for our village and how much time it takes, as I no longer feel that it is a part-time job. So I just want that all on the record.
I wish that there had been I wish it had been brought up sooner so that we could have actually addressed it. I mean, if there is a legal manner in which to address it,
If there is, I would like to
I'd be
pursue it.
more than open to do so.
There is, it would just probably not, we don't have time to pursue it in time for the next election, I believe.
no, it would, the mayor's
It would
salary
take
cannot.
place- It would take place after this election, 4 years from
Count-
November.
Council salary can be addressed in 2 years.
We did
That
discuss
doesn't
it
interfere.
though.
Just email.
Right, so right, it's just the nature of the beast, that you can't change an elected person's
No, I mean, I understand.
salary during their term.
No, I
Right,
understand.
so, and it's too late, the ballot is, it's too late to get it done before the ballot is set, right? So that's,
So every 2 years we
Anyways.
discuss this?
you can.
No, you cannot. The salary of the mayor and the salary of council must be done 5 days prior to the deadline of, the August 8th date, August 9th date, 5 days prior to that, because if you look at it this way, had I been the only one running, which I am not, but had I been the only one running, and then you guys decide to raise the salary, how bad does that look? Or vice versa, you have somebody running that you don't like, you decide you don't want to raise the salary, and you waited until the last minute. So it's to secure that it's done fairly. So I totally do understand why. I think anybody that does think that this is a part-time job anymore has a lot of learning curve to do. So, but anyways, it cannot be done, and I do appreciate that a lot. So, not that I will be the person here next term, but anybody that does sit in this chair will completely understand once this is not the same village we used to live in. So there's a lot of work to be done. And as you guys do know, because you guys are all sitting on council, so it's different than 4 years ago, it's different than 8 years ago for sure. But anyways, that's where we are. So thank you for that. Does anybody have anything else in old business? Because I just have two little quick things. Yes, no? Trash cans have been ordered for the basketball court. Why? We already have 3 trash cans over there, but I'm trying something fun. Maybe if we don't have a trash can with a lid, kids will actually try to toss them in. I don't know. Call me crazy. But I know that the trash has been a topic. I have gone over there the last 3 days, and I know it was busy this weekend, so I'm not implying that it was not, but the last 3 days, I assume since school has started, there was no one the last couple days. And Brian, you live across the street. There's not been anybody there in like the last 3 days.
I mean, weekdays
Yeah.
are always generally kind of like.
Slow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
And even weekends, some weekends it's not a lot, some weekends you have 30
Yeah.
people out there.
Right. So there was.
This past weekend was
yeah.
one of those where there was 30,
Yeah.
there were people with chairs waiting, sitting in the shade,
Right.
waiting for their turn to play.
Right. So anyways, we're going to try it. It might work. It might not work. But we are going to get some new, and we will just recycle those other trash cans. We're not throwing them away. We have plenty of places we can put trash cans. And then we did, in fact, order a bike rack for over by the pavilion, which you, planning and zoning had recommended that we look into that. So that has also been ordered. Since there's no other old business, we're going to move to new business. Are people almost here? I think, okay, and maybe right now. So the last thing I want to talk about before our guests come in is the date for Halloween. Morpsey does suggest that it be October 31st this year. In the past, we've done 6 to 8, we've done 5:30 to 7:30. The choice is yours when it comes to that. Is it 6 to 8 on Morpsey? Does anybody know for sure?
It's usually 6 to 8.
It's usually 6 to 8.
6 to 8.
So if somebody wants to,
I'll move that we adopt Morpsey's recommendation of trick or treating to be on October 31st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Good.
all those in favor? Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? All right. So last but not least for tonight, we do have a special guest here. I'm going to turn it over to Eric so he can tell you who is here, why they're here. Let him speak for a couple minutes, and then we will get this meeting adjourned.
This is Jack Abel with Phantom Fireworks. I have always encouraged our business owners and new business owners to come and introduce themselves to the council. They want to, Jack, if you want to step up to the podium there and introduce yourself and talk a little bit.
We do this,
Yeah, we
just
got.
a
Yeah.
quick handout, what our buildings look like, and a card for myself.
Pass that around.
First of all, I got lost, and the reason is I didn't go to Ohio State, and I didn't go to Michigan. I went to Michigan State. So that explains how I got lost getting here. My name's Jack Abel. I'm the Director of Development for Phantom Fireworks. Basically, I handle all the real estate. We're one of the 2 largest consumer fireworks companies in the United States. We have 85 stores, 15 of them are in Ohio. And the last 2 we opened, I just handed out some pictures. This year we opened one in Grove City, which will be close to you guys, and last year was in Montrose, a suburb of Akron. So that'll give you an idea of what our buildings look like inside and outside. We're going to look differently from what you kind of think of a fireworks company. Ours look like a true retail store. They're nice, they're clean. We have fire suppression systems, smoke evacuation systems, wide aisles, a multiple number. We're a large company. We do a couple $100 million in business, so we're not a kind of a mom and pop operation. But we're buying the Gordon Food Service store on Cleveland Avenue. I understand one of the things is, and as you see, we're big into landscaping and the appearance of buildings and things, so I'm hoping that we'll be able to kind of spruce that one up a little bit. I just stopped on the way over, but it was really for getting all the fire sprinkler things. And with that, I just wanted to kind of open up if anybody's got any questions about us or what goes on in the community. We have a store east of Columbus that's in Coopersville off of I-70, and then the one in Grove City. So Columbus is kind of a key market for us. We've got a couple in Cleveland, 2 in Cincinnati, looking at one in Dayton. Our headquarters are in Youngstown, Ohio. That's my spiel, Eric, okay? But I'm open if anybody's got any questions. I did want to introduce myself and let you know that we're moving into the neighborhood.
Will there be a neighbor's discount?
I will question the council person.
That's a serious question.
That laugh looks like a no.
Actually, we do have a lot of local issues. It's not a discount based upon that, but we can get you into the system. We have certain times of the year when it's buy one, get two free on items and whatever. As you can envision, the markup on fireworks is fairly substantial, so obviously it allows us to do a lot of different specials.
In speaking to legal counsel who called originally too, they are more than happy to come take part in any, and sponsor different events with the village, and so there's opportunities for them to take part in community activities.
We are big. I mean, we're a large enough company that we're big into that, just like any other national retailer. So, good question.
We'll leave heavy on that.
Yes, go ahead.
Looking at your photos here of your other stores, it seems rather large. GFS square footage wise, what do you
So basically,
what's your-
basically our footprint is a 10 to 15,000 square foot store. In Ohio, the retail area is 7,500 square feet. Whatever's left is what's used for warehousing and storage. So a 15,000 square foot store like Gordon Food Service is perfect. The Montrose one is a little bit bigger. Obviously, the H.H. Gregg is so big we actually didn't use the whole store. We used about 2/3 of it. So most of our stores, if you look at them, are going to be in the 10 to 15,000 square foot range. Or what used to be the H.H. Gregg, which is the one down in Grove City, is larger than what we normally end up with.
What's your anticipated sales for that location?
So normally in Ohio, our sales around Columbus have been around $3 million roughly.
Did you say million with a B?
3 million.
Okay.
If it was billion, I'd be running for president.
$3 million annual per store?
Yes. Yeah. So we've
How much
got
are you in
85
that?
stores and we do about 200 million in sales.
Right.
Obviously there's larger stores and smaller, but that's, again, we're not a mom and pop operation. It's the type of customer that comes in isn't somebody that comes in and buys $20 worth of sparklers. They buy to do what we kind of call personal shows off in the field. They take it out of town. With the interstates coming through here, we have a lot of people that are passing through on their way to Michigan or Indiana, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. So,
When do you anticipate opening?
actually, if we can get the closing done, it could be by the end of the year. The key for us, obviously, is to be open sometime before July 4th. We usually try to do it in April at some point, and it just depends on the length of time. So it could be, in this case, that it'll be more like April. We don't do a lot of sales in the off-season, but April, May would be the latest.
Missing all that good New Year's Eve fireworks display. If you don't
Actually, the reason it's fun, so we have 10 stores in Florida, and they do as much business on New Year's Eve as they do on July 3rd. But it's the weather and kind of the population there. Yes?
How is your presence going to benefit our village, in your opinion?
Well, I think a couple things. First of all, I think we'll improve the look of that building right there, just for one thing. I think you're going to see a lot more activity in the building, maybe even than Gordon Food Service has. We do employ 4 to 5 year-round people, manager, assistant managers. But between April and the end of July, we employ up to 50 people on a seasonal basis. Yes?
First of all, pleasure to meet you and a pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining the village community. When you talk about the landscaping and the beautification, we have a resolution that focuses on the use of native plants, for the pollinators and whatnot. So is that something that your company has familiarity with?
It probably with our director of construction. Again, he's done 85 stores. He's been with the company for 20 years. We're very good about following whatever the local building codes are and the beautification aspect. So we will abide by whatever you have locally. It's different states.
It's illegal.
Okay, I just have one quick question. What are your typical hours?
So typically, we're open like 10 to 10, 9 to 9, until those last 2 weeks before July 4th. And then we stay open until midnight. 2 of the days, we stay open until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
But we're a retail business like everybody else. So we're a 9 to 9 or 10 to 10, depending on the time of the year.
All right.
I left the card too, if anybody ever has any questions. The other thing I'm into is hockey. So we lived in Vermont for 20 years. I have 2 boys. They played all the way through school, college, whatever. So any questions on either fireworks or hockey, I can answer.
Well, the Blue Jackets aren't very good, but that means you can usually get tickets to them.
You never know.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you
Jack.
so
Appreciate
much.
it.
I motion we adjourn. Take that, Councilperson Wolf.
You take it.